Hi guys, welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel and happy halfway through 2026. Where the hell has this year gone? I'm sorry, how am I filming my mid-year tag again? It feels like yesterday I was like kind of brainstorming ideas that I needed to do again this year that I wanted to make sure that I repeated, and I was kind of January time and I was like, yeah, I need to make sure I'm doing my mid-year tag. And then it kind of got to like May, June time and I was like, I need to film my mid-year tag because obviously I filmed so far in advance. I was like, this actually needs to be filmed so it can go up. So I cannot believe it is June/July when you guys are seeing this, 2026, which means we are halfway through the year and it's time to redo the mid-year tag. I did do this video last year, so what I did is I went back onto that one, I re-watched it, got all the questions from there, and I've added on a couple extra questions at the bottom just to give you a little bit more of the stats and figures that we have. So I'm going to start with the questions that I did last year and then I can give you the stats, figures and everything that we are on right now. And yeah, let's get into our mid-year book tag for so far this year. Crazy. So question number one is a new release I haven't read yet and want to. So this book I don't actually own, but this book is the Daisy Chain Flower Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. Am I absolutely excited that the series is continuing? No, but I do really enjoy the book. I think that the books are such cozy audiobook reads. Yes, they're spicy. Yes, they don't have a lot in them, but I do think the books are very cozy audiobook reads. They are your typical rom-com where there's not much in them, it's not much to them, but they are what they are. And I think sometimes that is exactly what I need. I need like a bit of a brainless romance just to kind of escape into and enjoy watching love be love. So that is a new release that I haven't read yet and I want to, and I do think I'm going to be reading that one this month because I am going to be able to get the audiobook, so that's very exciting. Question number two is a book from this year I would read, and that is The Correspondence by Virginia Evans. I wanted to read this book the minute I put it down. I love this book. It's definitely worth the hype. I ended up giving this one 5 stars, and yeah, this book is following Sybil, who lives her life writing correspondence through letters, emails, notes. It's all in here. You really do get to see her full life story. And now I was a little bit apprehensive going into this, kind of thinking we only get from the older years, but she's very much a reminiscer, so she goes back and we see things that have happened in the past, things that she's not necessarily like happy with, regrets that she might have. You see her create friendships, you see her create relationships, you see her have friendship breakdowns, you see her have issues, you see her have good days and bad days, and you see everything in between, and you really do grow to love and connect with Sybil. This book was just everything I wanted and more. It is purely told through letters and correspondence, so it's such a quick, easy read. I feel like if I had nothing on, I could probably sit down and binge this one in an afternoon. It was so beautiful and definitely worth the hype that it has been getting. And yes, I would highly recommend this story to absolutely anyone and everyone that has any kind of desire to pick it up. Question number 3 is the book with the most unique concept, and for that one it has to be no other than, just trying to change something, it has to be no other than Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This book is not new and it has had hype, it's done its rounds. However, for me it's such a new concept. Sci-fi is not a genre that I tend to read, so I don't tend to read many stories like this. Am I saying it's completely unique, never been done before? Absolutely not. It probably has many times, but for me it was a unique concept. And yeah, I don't want to say too much about the concept that's included in this book because I do feel like that is a little bit of a spoiler. I know a lot of people do talk about that on YouTube, and I feel like this book has been read by so many that it's not necessarily a spoiler to most, but I feel like if you've not read the story, I would much prefer to go into it with as little knowledge as possible and go in as blind as possible, because I do feel like kind of having that knowledge threw me off a little bit. I was kind of waiting for the character to kind of catch up to the knowledge that I had. But you're following Jason and he goes out to celebrate one of his friends winning a prize when he gets kidnapped on his way home, and you go from there. He wakes up in this place that he has never been before, doesn't recognise, doesn't know anyone around him, yet they all know who he is, and you're following kind of Jason figure things out and see if he can make his way back to his home with a wife and child and what that looks like. So would highly recommend this book. It's such a unique concept for me. I don't think it's groundbreaking in terms of the sci-fi genre, but if you don't read a lot of sci-fi, I think this is a very good entry level. I didn't find it confusing. I did find it really easy to connect to the book and to the characters, and for that reason I would highly recommend this book. Okay, question number 4 is a book I thought I would love but I didn't, and unfortunately this author is a very tried and trusted author. I listen to a lot of their audiobooks. I love a lot of their stories. I don't necessarily think they're the most groundbreaking things, but I do really enjoy it, and this story I just didn't enjoy, and I kind of didn't want to pick it up, whereas a lot of this author's stories I want to continue reading and I binge them and I need to listen to the audiobooks extremely fast or like listen to get through the story quite quickly. This book I just didn't have that, and that is The Inmate by Frida McFadden. I didn't connect to the story. I didn't connect to the concept. I kind of guessed where the twists and turns were going. It wasn't the best. You're following Brooke, and she, after her parents' death, moves back to her hometown, gets a job in a correctional centre where she actually knows one of the inmates through her past, and you're seeing how she knows them, what happened, and also the manipulation between either the inmate or a character outside of the prison as to you're trying to figure out who is right, who's telling the truth, and what that might look like. I guessed it all pretty much. It wasn't amazing and it wasn't one of her best works. I definitely would say read it if you want to read like all of Frida's backlist, but I wouldn't rush out to read it, and I wouldn't rush out to recommend it. She's got so many other better books that I would recommend way before I recommend The Inmate. We then have question number 5, which is a book that I haven't stopped thinking about, and that is Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I actually don't have that book right now because I've lent it out to my friend, but in this book you are following our female main character who's an adjunct physicist professor, and she, to support her lifestyle alongside that, she also has to run a fake girlfriend kind of business. So one day she sees a job advert for a different university with a more permanent position. She goes for that job, and when she gets there she realizes that one of the guys on the board, one of the main guys on the board, is the brother of a guy that she's a fake girlfriend for. And so obviously that's a little bit confusing. It's a little bit under like wires across, and you get to see that play out as well as her fight for like go for this job and see what that looks like. And obviously with any book, romance book, there are contentions and issues and romance and angst, and there is a little bit of spice because Ali Hazelwood does tend to write a little bit of spice, but nothing crazy. And yeah, I would highly recommend that book. I loved it. From one Ali Hazelwood book to another, we have a book with mixed reviews that I loved, and that is Deep End. This book, I understand the criticisms. It was marketed as this extra spicy BDSM book, and it didn't quite deliver that, but I did really enjoy the work and the writing. It was only a 4 stars. It didn't end up being a 5 stars. I do feel like it was a tiny bit too long to be like a 5-star romance, but I also feel like I didn't fully connect to the characters. Not necessarily Ali Hazelwood's fault, could be the reading slump that I am in, but I did really enjoy the writing. I love Ali Hazelwood's writing style, and so I would recommend it. I know a few people didn't enjoy it. A few people didn't enjoy it because of the spice that was included in it, and a few people didn't enjoy it because it wasn't as much as spicy as they thought it was going to be. But I kind of had that understanding going into it prior because I have seen a lot of reviews about it, and so for that reason I ended up really enjoying it and giving it a 4 stars. Moving on, we then have a book that I want to finish by the end of this year, and one of my priorities is Wicked by Gregory Maguire. This is on my 26th to read in 2026, but also I have been putting this book off. It is quite chunky and I am scared I'm not going to enjoy it because I have heard mixed things, and Wicked is one of honestly my favourite, or if not my most favourite musical that I've ever seen. So I do want to get into this book and yeah, I learn more about the Alphabet story before the musical. We then have, moving on, favourite new authors. So I've already spoken about Virginia Evans's Correspondent. I don't really have any new authors where I've read like multiple books of, so I've kind of picked authors that I want to read more from. So I definitely want to read more from Virginia Evans. I definitely also want to read more from Lane Fargo with The Favourites, and I also want to read more from BK Boris's with First Time Caller. I want to continue on this series, and I'm intrigued to see what else Lane Fargo comes out with. If her writing style continues on the way it is, then I am intrigued to read more from her. I don't know whether this one was a debut novel. It doesn't seem to be, so there does seem to be other books to get into, so I might keep my eye out for those and see what else we get. I then have a book that made me miss a loved one, which is Evenings and Weekends. Not necessarily, I know last year I picked A Man Called Ove or Ove, because it helped me, it like made me miss my granddad. But I feel like this book made me miss my friends in terms of friend dynamic of being all together and stuff like that. I feel like this book kind of helped me to appreciate the people in my life and the nuances that everyone lives in very different ways, but also made me miss like friendships. And yeah, it was kind of that kind of vibe. It's not anyone specific, but it did kind of give me that kind of reminiscing vibe of missing people and loved ones around me. Then question number 10 is a book I think should be made into a movie, and that is The Favourites by Lane Fargo. I feel like the ice skating side of things, as well as the drama and the tension, will make for a really good show. I feel like you could create it into a movie or a TV show and make it feel like a reality show at the same time because of the interview elements. And I do think if this was done right, then it would be amazing and it would make some great TV. Then question number 11 is a book that made me think other books are average, and it should come to no shock that it's Love Theoretically and The Correspondence. They are 5-star reads for me and I just loved them, flew through them. They reminded me what reading should feel like, whereas I have been slumping a lot recently, so it is taking a lot for me to get absolutely locked into books, and so these books helped to remind me what that feels like and what that is like. And so yeah, those books helped change my brain chemistry, and unfortunately are putting all the other books on a slightly higher pedestal, especially with Love Theoretically, where I started out my year as a 5-star read. I mean, you cannot ask for anything better, but it does mean that all the other books have suffered a little bit in response to that. Question number 12 is a book that gave me a new perspective on life, and that's The Let Them Theory. I feel like that's very common. It's a self-help book. It helped me to see different things in different ways and come up with a few different like coping strategies or different methods to try with self-help. So that's that one. I don't really want to go too much into that one. Self-help isn't really what I'm here to recommend and talk about, but it was a book that I did read and I did find useful. So the last 3 questions are a kind of statsy reflecting questions. So question 13 is how many books have I read so far this year? At the time of collecting all the data, doing the stats, I have read 37 books. Where am I in my Goodreads goal? So I'm actually 4 behind the current like trajectory of my Goodreads goal, so I need to catch up. So let me know if that's a video you would like to see of me trying to catch up and get back on track with my Goodreads goal, because I am slumping a little bit, so I do need to, get back on the bandwagon. And then question 15, last and final question, is focuses or goals for the year, the end of the year. So a bit like last year, I do want to try and get my series down a little bit. I do see them creeping a little bit back up. It's not necessarily as much of a push as it was last year. I do feel like I have done a lot better, but there is the big long romance series by Jill Shelvis that I have been given and gifted for my birthday that I would really love to get through. I also have a few on my Kindle that I would like to get through a little bit more. And yeah, I just would love to read a bit more of my book series and try and get them down a little bit. I'm kind of going to review them as well to see if there's any in there that I'm just not wanting to continue. I'm on the fence about Lights Out. I don't know whether I want to get on to start and read Magnolia Parks. I tried to start it, I didn't love it, couldn't get into it, but I'm tempted to try the audiobook. So let me know if you guys have any opinions on that. And yeah, just try and get some of my series down so it's not quite as drastic as it was, and I don't want to get it out of hand again like it has done previously. Then I also want to continue reading the books that I want to. I've definitely found that this year I've been slumping a little bit more, and there have been times where I have just wanted to pick up a book, and because of videos or TBRs I haven't picked them up, and actually that shouldn't really be the case. I really need to try and stay away from that and read the books that I want to read when I want to read them. So I'm trying to lean into that a little bit more, trying to create challenges or BookTube videos that are created around mood reading rather than set reading goals or set reading situations. So if you've got any recommendations for any videos that you guys would like to see, or any ideas of challenges or anything like that, then please leave them down below. I always love new ideas, and yeah, anything like that would be greatly appreciated. And the last and final goal or focus that we've got for the rest of the year is I want to get back into reading every single day. I have fallen off the bandwagon with that. I do read quite a bit in work. Now that I'm in a different job, I tend to put an audiobook on, so I do tend to get through a few more books that way. But I want to get back to physically reading just before going to sleep and helping that kind of switch off and wind down with that, because that does really help. It helps me feel better, it helps me sleep better, but I just haven't been putting the time and effort and energy into that. So that is definitely something that I want want to be developing and doing more of in the future. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know how many books you've read this year and what your favourite book of the year has been so far, along with any videos and anything that you guys would like to see. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Make sure you like and subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.